First of all, what is geometry? Geometry originally was the measure of the earth, practiced by the Egyptians, the Babylonians. It's attributed to the Egyptians having to resurvey land after the Nile flooding in order to have some sort of order to their agricultural based economy. But essentially the word geometry means to measure the earth. When you say sacred geometry, we're talking about not the proofs and the axioms and the postulates of textbook Euclidean geometry, although it does encompass all of that, but it takes it to another level where there's a philosophical or symbolical connotation to the forms, the patterns, the proportions, the relationships that one finds in the geometric realm. So sacred geometry looks at the way geometry manifests throughout all the levels and realms of creation, from the microcosmic to the macrocosmic and everything in between, and how geometry serves as a unifying body of principles or relationships that ties all of those domains together, which includes, of course, the human domain. So we have geometry expressing itself through molecular geometry. We find it in galactic geometry. We find it in the biological realm through growing things. We find it in the inorganic realm through crystalline structure. We find it in the realm of human-made art, architecture, music, various kinds of crafts. And when we look at the manifestations of sacred geometry in the human realm, what we find is that they are reflecting these same geometric principles that we find throughout the natural order. So geometry, in sacred geometry, is not an invention of humankind, it's a discovery of humankind. That there are these relationships throughout the natural order of things. And the idea behind utilizing the principles of sacred geometry through these various ancient cultures that have, and artists and builders and designers and things through history that have incorporated in their work, is to try to mimic the patterns of creation itself. The geometry of creation is not overtly evident. It's essentially something one learns to perceive and appreciate through training, through a series of exercises, developing the eyes to perceive what is ordinarily hidden. So in that sense, you could think of sacred geometry as being the hidden or invisible architecture of creation. And this invisible architecture of creation served to inspire generations of artists from the very dawn of recorded history down to recent times, and is now undergoing a revival and a rediscovery through the work of modern practitioners such as John Michel and Keith Critchlow and Robert Lawler and a handful of others that have gone back, reconnected with the ancient traditions, brought them into our modern contemporary milieu, have cast them in a new format, and have made them available to a new generation of builders and artists and designers and researchers. And where it could go from here is anybody's guess, but I think it could be extraordinary once we reconnect with some of these principles. I will end this by saying that it's very difficult to talk about what sacred geometry actually is. It's more of an experiential phenomena, that one takes the implements of the ancient geometrician's craft, the straight edge and the compass, and one duplicates, using those two instruments only, one duplicates the whole processes of creation from an undifferentiated unity into the whole manifested realm of creation. And so geometry starts with something as simple as a point, a line, and a circle, but through the combination of these fundamental forms, there's an infinite variety of forms that can emerge that essentially can then reflect all the patterns of creation.